In the book of Revelation, it prophesies about two men being witnesses to the whole earth, and that these men will have supernatural powers for signs and wonders on the earth. So who are these men? Could the Bible be giving us hints as to who they are? Revelation 11:5 says, "If any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devours their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed." These have power to shut up heaven, that it may rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. So two supernatural powers are given through these two verses: the ability to shut up heaven that it may not rain, and to use fire to devour your enemies. So does the Bible show or give an account of anybody in the past who did these things? In James 5:17 it says, "Elias, or Elijah, was a man subject to like passions as we are. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it rained not on the earth for 3 years and 6 months," which is 3.5 years. In 2 Kings 1:10 it says, "Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, If I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. So we see in the account given in the book of 1 Kings, Elijah, in a battle versus the prophets of Baal, calling down fire from heaven, thus defeating his enemies in a victory given to him by God. But we also see in another account in the book of James about Elijah shutting up heaven that it should not rain. And he did this for 3.5 years, which is the same amount of time the Antichrist will continue to reign after he breaks his peace treaty with Israel. Back to 11:6 of Revelation, it says, "They have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will." And when you think of plagues, you think of Egypt and the 10 plagues God gave to Pharaoh through Moses. And one of those plagues was water turning into blood. In Romans 3:21 it says, "But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets." So in this verse, Paul is giving the gospel of grace, that you're saved by grace through faith, without works, without the law. But he gives a witness, as God usually does, by the law and the prophets. So we know that in the Old Testament, arguably the greatest prophet and a representation of the prophets was Elijah. And we also know that Moses is the best representation of the law, as the 10 Commandments came through him on Mount Sinai. So in Malachi 4:1, prophesying about the end-time judgment, it says, "Behold, the day comes, thou shalt burn as an oven, and all the proud and all that do wicked shall be stubble. And the day comes that shall burn them up, says the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." "Remember the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him at Horeb for all Israel, with statutes and judgment." And behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So we see here some connections we can make from the Old Testament that signal Elijah and Moses to be those two witnesses prophesied in the book of Revelation in the end times before the great day of the Lord. Moses being a type representation of the law, and Elijah being a representation of the prophets. Elijah being able to prevent the earth from rain and to bring fire, and Moses being able to use plagues and turn the water to blood.